He lives to fly. That is my dad.
Leo Jostad has traveled the world, but he will always call North Dakota his true home.
To me and a lot of people, he embodies aviation.
Flying is everything to him, and teaching people how to fly, it brings him special joy.
Even as a kid, he always used to say, North Dakota is the best place to fly.
In our state, legendary aviators are honored in the North Dakota Aviation Hall of Fame.
It could be a jet, it could be a Cessna 150. It really doesn't matter. If it's got wings, he'll fly it.
These walls are filled with the stories of aviation pioneers. Now in 2022, it's time for Leo Jostad to take his rightful place among the members of this esteemed group. Welcome to the North Dakota Aviation Hall of Fame. What do you call a group of pilots? Some people call them a crew of pilots, or possibly a flight of pilots. Others, well, they aren't so sure. But one thing is certain. A group of pilots will always have plenty of stories to share. And no one can tell a story better than Leo Jostad.
Why do you think you should be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
I don't. There's a lot of guys that have done as much or more, I think, than I have, maybe. I'm sure you've heard the old thing, you know, it takes a whole village to raise a child. Well, it took a little more than that probably to raise me.
No matter where you go in Botno, it seems like everyone has an opinion on Leo Jostad.
I'd describe Leo as busy. He's community activities, whether it's the church, whether it's the VFW, or whether it's aviation. Leo is those things, and he's in all of them 100%. I don't know how you do that.
When I get on the phone with Leo, my wife just goes, oh no, because she knows it's going to be an hour or two. It's just the way it's going to be.
He's very methodical in his thinking. He doesn't say anything unless he's thought it through, which I can ask him a question and I get no answer for a while, and I wonder, what in the heck, did he not hear me or what?
He's kind of the foundation of everything. He taught every one of us how to change a tire, how to change our oil. There's these random things that will come up, and I'm like, how on earth did you learn all this? I don't know how one person can fit all of it in a lifespan, but he manages to.
He doesn't want you walking away with the idea that he's this great, wonderful human being that everybody's got to bow down to.
He's just quite a guy. He really is quite a guy.
Humility and pragmatism have always been among Leo's strong suits. Aviation was part of life from the very beginning. The son of an Air Force pilot, Leo was born in 1939 in North Dakota.
I wanted to be a pilot when I was a kid, flying with my dad. First time up in an airplane, I barely remember. I was 4.5 or 5.5. I remember sitting in Dad's lap, hanging onto the stick.
His dad used to fly with a road map. That's how he got from one city to another, checking where the railroad train tracks went across. He got all the way to Texas one time. They didn't have instruments at that time.
Sometimes, Leo's dad, Sergeant Leo Jostad, was known to fly with his dog as his co-pilot.
This man has dedicated his life to aviation. I don't know if there's anything that he doesn't know or talk about. His knowledge background is absolutely unbelievable.
We were just about to get into the main hangar, so I'll see you when I see the whites of your eyes.
He may not want to be the center of attention, but Leo always has a story to tell.
You got to be careful Saturday mornings. Lots of stories get told, and I'm not so sure how true any of them are.
Oh, you just got to give it a little time. It's like wine. It's got to...
A group of pilots can be a very particular group, and sometimes it sounds like they're speaking an entirely different language.
Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock, all these Honyaks come barreling in here, and a lot of BS flies through the air.
Over coffee each Saturday morning at the Botno airport, that new language gives way to a rather unique camaraderie.
Leo's there pretty much every Saturday morning.
You remember that, don't you?
There's a formal name for it. It's called Clatch, Coffee Clatch. That's where a bunch of informal curmudgeons get together.
We're few and far between in some of these areas, and we need that support from all our fellow pilots.
And gets carried away.
Too bad it's not beer and only coffee.
Despite being a natural teacher, Leo's student years often came with their own unexpected patches of turbulence. After studying at the School of Forestry in Botno, he departed south for Fargo to attend North Dakota State University, at the time called the North Dakota Agricultural College. But as the school began to transition from a college to a university, Leo felt trapped in the middle as an engineering major.
I got so far behind, there was no catching up.
Undeterred, after fighting to find his place in a college deep in the middle of a transition, Leo switched headings, indulging one of his other passions, music.
I went to my counselor and told him I was going to change my major. Had a heck of a good time, and brought my grade point average up, and that's what enabled me to get through college.
It wasn't long before Leo was recognized as an accomplished trumpet player, a gift he came by honestly. The musical gene had been passed down to him by his grandfather. It was while he was still in school that Leo Jostad earned his wings with his first solo flight.
I was singing all the way down on downwind, and I stopped long enough to talk to the tower. I don't remember what I was singing, but I was having a ball. And I think that's probably the time when I decided that this is for me. This is even better than teaching music.
To get the money for my flight lessons, Leo once told a reporter, I rented out my car to my fraternity brothers, who wanted to take their girlfriends out on dates. It was a good deal for both of us, he said. In early 1962, he earned his private pilot's license. To date, he's logged more than 10,000 hours in the air. But of course, all of Leo's time wasn't spent in the air. Plenty was spent on Lake Minnegoshi. And if you ask Leo, he might just tell you how he helped to found the Ski Nautiques.
What is this?
Ski Nautiques?
Yes.
Ski Nautiques was a water ski club.
Both Leo and I grew up on the lake. And, you know, he doesn't give me a lot of stories from the Ski Nautiques, but he talks about how heavily he was involved in it and the fun that he had.
I taught more kids how to water ski during those years than I have taught how to fly an airplane.
When I tried to pin him down to, well, what's some of the stupid things you do? Because I know that happened. He's not quite willing to tell me about that.
Just a few short years later, Leo Jostad would meet Claren, his bride-to-be. But it wasn't exactly love at first sight.
I met him actually in a bar in Minot. My mom had said, don't date any military guys, so I said, okay. We got married in '68. I grew up on a farm. I'd never even seen an airplane, I don't think.
And with that, they set off toward the horizon and Montana for their honeymoon. But a few last-minute shenanigans by Leo's friends would delay the newlyweds' departure.
They had put a chain from the handle to the gas. Leo was very upset because somebody had been messing with his airplane.
After graduation, Leo's sense of responsibility led him to serve his country. It was time to follow in his father's footsteps. But little did he know that joining the Air Force in the fall of 1962 would be an assignment that would lead to adventure for more than 2 decades. However, there was a catch. The recruiter told Leo they weren't looking for pilots for another year, and Leo wasn't feeling patient.
He said, this year, all the pilot training slots are being cut back. Just delay Air Force for another year and see if that changes. It might not. Or, he said, you can go in, we'll get you a navigator slot, and then you fly as a navigator for a couple of years, and then you can, since you're already in the system, now it's simple to just apply for pilot training.
Leo spent almost a decade as a navigator, but the urge to take control and to teach other pilots only continued to grow as time went on.
I got to rub elbows with some pretty accomplished airmen, and so I just soaked up everything I could.
But in the meantime, he was taking on another project, rebuilding a piece of his childhood.
After I had been in the service a while, I obtained my own airplane, which I purchased from my dad. And it was the airplane that he bought new when he left the Air Force for the last time. It was a 1950 Piper Pacer, PA-20. It was in bad need of restoration.
It was a slow process. Leo and his friends stashed the parts in a hangar, one station wagon load at a time. But with Leo's engineering background, he remained undaunted, and soon he was ready to show off his pet project.
I got it flying again, just kind of patchworked it for a while, and when I could, I'd get home, and my dad and I'd go fly the airplane. So he was happy he got to fly it, his old airplane. It was like old times.
The plane only cost Leo about $1,700, but those memories are worth much more than that. It was as an Air Force navigator that Leo says he learned to fly from the very best in the world when he became involved with the Offutt Air Force Base Aero Club.
And I said, if we pay the airplane rental and the gas, everything, could you take us up? And I got to go up and fly for nothing, learn from these guys who had all kinds of experience, some of them actual, wartime fighter experience. I was like a pig in slop. I was in seventh heaven.
After joining the Air Force in 1962, Leo spent more than 20 years flying all over the world with the military. He was a tanker pilot, and he had lengthy assignments in Okinawa and stateside at Omaha. He also earned his commercial pilot's license during this time. As part of the 37th Strategic Wing, Leo was honored for flying 100 sorties over Southeast Asia in 1972. All the while, he continued to help and train other pilots as a flight instructor. He also began to focus on a new specialty, strategic reconnaissance. But North Dakota was never far from Leo's heart.
Something I heard later when I got in the Air Force, where are you from? North Dakota. North Dakota! Don't want to get sent up there. I said, I don't know. Sounds okay to me.
After a military career spanning more than 23 years, Lieutenant Colonel Leo Jostad decided it was time to focus on family. He retired from the Air Force, and his family headed for a new life in Botno, North Dakota. The first orders of business, a home renovation, and a 40th birthday celebration.
My wife and daughters, smart Alex, made a bunch of signs and put them out on the snowdrifts. Said, "Lordy, Lordy, Leo is 40."
But that retirement didn't last long. Just like his father, you could take the pilot out of the plane, but you could never take the plane away from the pilot. Less than 6 months after retiring, Leo started flying for Farstead Oil, joining as the chief pilot and director of flight operations.
I got to fly to the East Coast, West Coast, the Caribbean islands, all over.
The whole time, Leo continued to train other pilots. He then went on to fly for North Dakota businessmen Don Bissett and Myron Thompson.
I'm the luckiest SOB in the business. It's been a dream job for me.
Out of all of those aircraft that you described, what was your favorite?
Oh, I think I gotta say the French Falcon 10. Fast and nimble.
Military life and civilian work would be enough to keep anyone busy for an entire lifetime. But Leo Jostad is still a family man at heart.
This is my main co-pilot.
That's what I gathered.
In the cockpit and out of the cockpit.
There you go.
I never took a lesson where his granddaughter wasn't with him. He moved back to Botno because after being all over the world with the military, he wanted family time.
All 4 of us girls have, at one point in time or another, started taking lessons.
He used to fly over the house when he would come home on a trip. And so we'd listen for him. We'd listen for the airplane, and then we would run outside and wave, and then he would rock his wings.
You turned another page!
Kari is a kindergarten teacher near Leo's home in Botno.
My dad is definitely a natural-born teacher. My dad inspired me to go into teaching for sure.
And Kristen, she's learned to love the cold winters. She owns her own business in Alberta.
He puts himself out there, and I think that is a trait that we don't see in a lot of people.
And Leo's daughter, Leisha? Well, let's just say she can't keep her feet on the ground either.
Everything that I've known about my dad for my entire life kind of revolved around him being a pilot. We got to fly places, and that was just a normal part of life.
Like her dad, she's a flight instructor at the University of North Dakota. Now, she's teaching her daughter to fly, just as Leo taught her.
One of the things you can always ask is, where's Dad at the airport, right? If we go up to Botno, yeah, where's Leo at? He's at the airport. He's down there doing something. He's tinkering on something.
He basically built that field. Botno Municipal Airport should be in the future, in say a decade or 3 or 4 decades from now, be named after Leo.
I was raised to pitch in where I could, and I could. Put somebody in a vehicle and driving them to Fargo or Grand Forks to a big hospital, that was a big deal. We could fly them, and an ambulance would meet us at the airport and before you got home, the person had been in and seen a doctor, and they were being well taken care of.
In 2014, the Federal Aviation Administration finally took notice of Leo's dedication and achievements. After more than 50 years of flight, the FAA honored him with their highest award, the Wright Brothers Master Pilot Award. And after that, Leo went right back to doing what he does best, teaching a new generation of pilots. And when you think about it, it's in pretty much everything he does. Watch him, and you're bound to see it. Listen, and you'll hear it. In one way or another, Leo is always teaching.
It's not like a job when you do something that you enjoy doing. I haven't really accomplished that much. I like to feel that what I did okay at.
What do you call a group of pilots? Some would call them a crew, or even possibly a flight of pilots. Other people aren't so sure. But one thing is certain. Leo Jostad would call a group of pilots a family.
Leo, my best friend.
A teacher, a mentor, my father.
My comrade in evil deeds.
Congratulations to the North Dakota Aviation Hall of Fame.
You deserve this more than anybody I know.
I appreciate everything you've done for all of us.
Since we're proud of you.
I'm proud of everything that you taught me, and I'm proud of being your daughter.
I'm very, very proud of everything that he's done.
And it's just totally ridiculous that you think in your own mind that you're not worthy of this, because you're as worthy as anybody else on that wall.
I have looked in Bismarck several times when I've flown out of there, wondering why you're not there.
So, just deal with it.
I hope you take it with open arms.
Dad, congratulations.
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 Congratulations, Dad.
Congratulations, Dad.
You deserve this. Congratulations.
Leo, congratulations. You finally got noticed.